Thank you for joining with me. I appreciate you all. What's on my heart for us to talk about for this week is the practice of emptying ourselves, and how emptying ourselves is the path of healing. It opens us up to relieve ourselves from burdening energies. Off the bat, I'm reminded of Christ often talked about his disciples when he would send them off to minister. He would say, "Take nothing with you." And I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty terrified to do that. Not having the uncertainty of not food. What if I step in a puddle? What if I get thirsty? What if? And yet they always, I imagine, maybe there's a disciple that's not mentioned anymore because they weren't able to do it. I don't know, but it takes a lot of faith, right? To go off on the journey empty-handed. Yet they were always cared for. They were provided shelter, they were fed. So that's what we're uncovering today, is how do we get our faith there? How do we begin to release attachment to what is comfortable in our lives versus clinging to everything? I imagine everybody watching this lives in America, and we like our things. We have our houses, and I have more clothes than what I need and more food than what I need. And I know not everyone is in that place to have excess. However, the majority of us living in the United States have an abundance of items to keep us comfortable. Not to help us survive, but to keep us comfortable in that survival. And I think a lot of us have lost track of what is necessary versus what is luxury. And I'm not just talking about clothing, food, healing tools, different things, crystals, but relationships. Or ideas we have about how our life should be. Our dreams. We may have an excess of dreams, ambitions. And I acknowledge in this moment that it may be counter to the majority belief that, you can never have too many dreams, you can never have too many ambitions. But how many of those are we going to accomplish mindfully and fully in this life? Or are we reaching for something to happen outside of ourselves because we can't quite yet see that this moment is enough without reaching our goals? That we are enough without these added successes. So the process of emptying oneself is to release desire outside of this moment, to release the urge to search. I mean, do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're continually searching for something but can't quite find it? Like you're thirsty, but like nothing is quenching that thirst. That is us trying to fill ourselves with air. There's no sustenance to it. There's no nutrients to it. So a question for us to ask ourselves is, what is going to fulfill me wholly and completely? And is it possible that what will fill me, I don't need to search for? Because the process of searching is, it's like, I notice so many patterns of this. We're looking for something to fulfill us, and so we're reading our books and we're praying and we're meditating, we're doing all of the exercises that we think needs to be done to get to the end point. But when we get there, what we're going to find, it's the Wizard of Oz bit, Oh, you mean it's been inside of me this whole time? I could have gone home whenever I wanted, Well, why didn't you just tell me that in the first place? I mean, we have to figure it out for ourselves. Like, that's the journey of emptying, is letting all this baggage go. And we can have this knowledge, and I myself can talk about, oh, I know I have this inside of me the whole time, but we don't quite yet understand what that means. And an indication that we don't understand what that means is we continue to search. We continue to fill ourselves with air, with temporary fulfillment. So don't listen to this and think like, okay, I have to, go out and live in the middle of nowhere and just be by myself. Maybe that's your path. And if so, it's a blessed path. Every path is blessed, but we don't need to take extreme measures or have these big dramatic life changes in order to get there. But it's the process of being still within ourselves to connect with that understanding. And maybe in the stillness, we'll get glimpses of that fulfillment, and we can recognize that, oh yeah, it is there. I can feel it. I can sense it. But then life will happen, and then challenge will happen, and we'll forget, right? And we'll forget again. But then we'll have these other moments where we have these great realizations of, oh, I am enough as I am. I don't need to search anymore. I can let my burdens go. But then challenge will come again. And so this is a process of undoing. If you read our monthly newsletter for June, this is what's talked about. It's a process of undoing, of releasing this clinging to our problems and our story, and seeing ourselves in the raw energy forms that we are. We say, we are love, all is love. Yeah, if we really understand that, we could sit and be still and be quiet and not feel the urge to get up and not feel the urge to sleep and not feel the urge to eat something that isn't going to help our bodies. Every moment will be enough, because no matter what's happening outside of us or with this physical body, there's balance inside. We understand that what we've been searching for is already here. And unfortunately, I think it's taught a lot in our culture that we need stuff to fulfill us. We need people to fulfill us. Everything's romanticized. And I think that's the whole irony of the spiritual experience is, you know, the greatest things come in the simplest packages. You know, Jesus was said to have been born in a manger, in a barn. And I think of I love Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. They're looking for the Holy Grail, and it's this little, like, beat up cup, and everybody who goes in before Indiana gets in there is like looking for these big, like, flashy gold, like, oh, the cup, like, it's got to be the best looking cup. It's got to be made of gold with gemstones and all this. No, it's just a cup. Just a cup. It's humble. And that's the message of Ordinary Pioneer and that name. And it's so funny because I can't say, don't give me credit for that name because it came to me. I didn't sit for hours stewing as to what to call. I don't even know what this was. I didn't even know this place was going to exist when the name came to me, if you don't know the story. But I wanted to do something more with my life. I wanted to create great impact in this world. And I thought that had to be big and bold, and I needed to be on stage and just, tell people, like, we just gotta love each other. That's all we gotta do. Like, make it this whole spectacle. And then I heard Ordinary Pioneer come through, and the message was that great impact comes from ordinary acts of kindness. So not to search for these grandiose opportunities to speak in front of people, or, it doesn't have to be this dramatic thing like moving to a different country to serve. I mean, all those are great, not to discourage anybody from doing all of that, but every single day we create impact, whether that's positive or negative impact, but we create impact with these simple acts. And even for us to be of service in that way as ordinary pioneers, we have to empty ourselves, because it puts the pride aside. It puts the fear of embarrassment aside. It puts the fear of connecting with others aside. How many of us have a hard time making eye contact with others for an extended period of time? What is that? What is it that we're clinging to that isn't allowing us to hold eye contact? One of the most intimate ways to connect with another soul is through eye contact. If we're not able to do that, then that's our work. That's where we got to start. If we're not able to smile back at somebody or initiate a smile, there's our work. What is it that I'm clinging to that is bringing up this fear of connecting with others. And also with that too, why is it so difficult for us to be quiet and still? Because that's how we connect with that peace within. All of what, we're discussing here. Thank you, Carol. And so if we can't sit in stillness and be quiet, that's like looking into our own eyes. Have you tried eye gazing, looking in the mirror? If that's difficult, that's the work. We're not empty. And when we're empty, when we are free from the bondage of the ego, so much is possible, because that's the empty vessel that we talk about. You could be called to go minister at the other side of the world. And, if God called you into something like that, would you be ready to say yes? Or I heard a doctor say the other day, he cares for his body as if he already has cancer. Are we dedicated enough to love ourselves wholeheartedly, that we nourish our bodies and we release these attachments to sugar, to caffeine? What are we willing to do to step into the light, and what are we not willing to do? And I want us to release judgment as to what the answer is in this moment, because it's going to change. Today, you may find that you're willing, God's will be done, take me wherever you want. Tomorrow may be a different story. There may be some other fears coming up. But in this moment, release the judgment and really acknowledge to ourselves, I think that's the hardest thing to do, is to be honest with ourselves about where we are. And we can look at others and see this idea of, oh, this person, they're more empty than I am. Their faith is stronger than mine. But really, we don't know. And that distracts us from looking within and loving ourselves wherever we are. Can we see that we are as much of a spiritual being as a human being? Let's not pretend anymore that we have it all figured out. I do these videos and I listen back to them because I need to hear the message. I need to hear what's coming through. And I'm so grateful that we get to share in that message together. And that you put your comments in and all your encouragement and all your love and all the goodness you pour out into the world. Let's be raw with each other. Let's be real with each other. And acknowledge that we haven't quite yet had it figured out. And that's great, because we still get to live this life and we still get to learn every day. And that's incredible. And that alone should just drop us to our knees in gratitude. Thank you for this day that I get to learn, that I get to grow. Show me what I am clinging to. Show me where I'm not empty. And take me into that place of surrender. We already know we're going to get there. We can, in faith, walk through. I love you all.